Petros, for this opportunity to have this interview with you. And I'm sure that in this interview there will be a lot of interesting information for the watchers of this video. And as a general question to start this interview with, I want to ask you, what is Lacanian psychoanalysis, and what differentiates it from other types of psychoanalysis?
Okay. Well, it is called Lacanian because after Lacan, his students, they say he named psychoanalysis Freudian. For him, it was Freudian psychoanalysis. He didn't consider himself Lacanian. And he even said to him when he was alive, I don't know about you if you want to consider yourself Lacanian, but as far as I am concerned, I am a Freudian. But Lacanian psychoanalysis it's an orientation of psychoanalysis among the many that focuses on the teaching of Jacques-Alain, the French psychoanalyst. That teaching was what he called a return to Freud. This return to Freud was basically to reread Freud, and one of the aspects of this to reread Freud was to read Freud not as a master, whatever he say we copy, but as someone who has a conscience as well. He read basically what Freud said, but what Freud couldn't articulate. So he read a conscience of Freud in the book. What differentiates Lacanian psychoanalysis, I will try to put it simple. There are a lot of technical aspects like the short session and the CAD and short session, for example, it can be a 5-minute session, 20 minutes, half an hour, and not the traditional 50 minutes that the psychotherapists and the psychoanalysts use, other psychoanalysts. But it includes the dimension of desire in it. And from the moment you include the dimension of desire in psychoanalysis, then you cannot speak of a specialist. Of course, we know stuff, but we are not specialists in what sense? If desire, and desire of course is connected with the act of the analyzer of the patient, then we don't really know the result. We don't know the result because it will be a new creation, a unique solution will be constructed in this sort of analysis. So from the moment that you don't know the outcome, you cannot say that this sort of psychoanalysis is a therapy, because you cannot cure. It cannot be therapeutic because you don't know the result. Of course, you cure through desire with this analysis, but you don't know the final result of it. You don't know what is the solution for life that this person will choose. The dimension of desire also creates a subject, creates a psychoanalyst as someone who doesn't really know. What we don't know, it's not, we know the formations of their conscious, we know when their conscious appears, we know when to intervene, but we don't know what the analyzer will do with that. And that's the beauty of it. If our interventions, if we made an intervention, or if we practice and we know the outcome, or we know even worse, where do they have to go, the analyzers or our patients, then what we are practicing is not psychoanalysis. In the best case scenario, it might be psychotherapy, in the best case scenario, and I wouldn't consider that psychotherapy. When Lacan was speaking about Pavlov and his dogs, the famous psychologist, he says that Pavlov didn't consider one thing in his experiments. He didn't consider the fact that the desire of the dog to come and get the bone, because you cannot measure desire. When you subtract desire from a human being or from when you will conduct experiments, then everything becomes mechanical. Lacanian psychoanalysis does something that modern science many times doesn't do. It includes the subject. It includes you. It includes your symptoms within your own story, within your own context. It doesn't take your depression or your panic attacks away from your context, because in your context, let's say, panic attacks might be a call to make changes in your life, and in my context, it might be a sign telling me to stop. Okay, so if we don't read these symptoms in their context, in the story, in the narration of the patient or the analyzer, then we are speaking only about algorithms, we are speaking about a supposed science. And it's not even science, because if the orientation of science is to find the truth, how can you find the truth of Olga, of Maria, of anybody, if you take their symptoms outside of their context? So this is what makes Lacanian psychoanalysis different, that it includes the symptom and the context. They are one. It doesn't separate the symptom from its context. That's my answer.
Mm-hmm. And when you're speaking about desire, because people can misinterpret desire in different ways, and you're saying that this is like one of the things that drives people in psychoanalysis. Can you define desire a bit more? Like what desire are we speaking about?
Okay. Well, many people, they think that desire is, to buy things or whatever, which it might be part of your desire, but your desire, very simply put, is whatever drives you to live, to create in your life. What gives you that breath to wake up in the morning and to want to embrace life. This is desire. Okay? To wake up in the morning and to want to embrace life. To work with love. Freud spoke about to love and to work, but I say to work with love, to be able to experience this world, but with this energy to breathe, to create, to ask more from life. That's desire.
Very nice. And why did you choose Lacanian psychoanalysis? Why was it something that attracted you, and that you want to speak about it?
Well, usually I don't speak in my interviews about me, but I will answer to you. I like a few things from Lacan. I like the freedom that it had, because I have read a lot before I choose where to go. For example, I read about a sort of psychoanalysis that he spoke about cure, about whatever these things to make you well, and then this freedom was lost because it was speaking about having kids, having a family, and I thought, but this is not for everybody. If they inscribe to you, I'm going to answer your question now, everything else that I tried, even if the psychotherapists or the psychoanalysts were decent, and they were doing whatever they were doing, it didn't click to me because there was an inscription. I had to identify with a solution that was already there. Okay? And this is one of the differences between proper psychoanalysis, the psychoanalysis that I teach, and psychotherapy. So the choice of Lacanian psychoanalysis personally for me came because it was this non-chaotic freedom for me to create from scratch the way I want to live my life, without any standards of normality and non-normality. Because even many psychoanalysts, they call their practice psychoanalysis, it's not at the end of the day, because you see the way they were trained, and there is this book, there is this, you can name it like a holy book that it tells them how to deal with everything. It becomes like an algorithm, it becomes like a pre-existing metaphor. And I didn't want to be part of something that was pre-existing. I wanted to form my own creation, to do things, to live life in the way I wanted. And in my opinion, only Lacanian psychoanalysis and variations of it that I teach. Recently, there is a book that's going to be published, and I don't know how to feel about it. And it's in French, and they call the psychoanalysis that I teach Le Patounan, after my name. So this writer, she's a Cypriot who has experience working abroad, and she worked in the European Union as well. She believes that it's different. It's not Lacanian, it's something new. So she's working on it. So she's going to teach the Le Patounan. I teach what I teach, but she.
Yeah, because a lot of times when I even had discussions about psychoanalysis and psychotherapy, people have this conception that oh, someone is telling you what to do, or it's like as if there is a cure or some sort of standard that you have to align with it.
Well, the proper psychoanalysis, it will not tell you what to do, but it will make intervention so you, step by step, create your own solution for life. Because at the end of the day, that's why we are coming to analysis, because the way we were living our lives is not working anymore, or it has some failure. And we are suffering one way or another. Maybe a little bit, some others more. So it's a construction. This sort of psychoanalysis is a construction, and it's a construction unique for every person. But the way people speak about psychoanalysis without knowing, at least the psychoanalysis that I teach and I practice, it has to do with their fantasy. Like now with coronavirus, some people, all people, they experience this situation, this unique situation also, according to their fantasies, conscious fantasies. Other people, they speak about conspiracies. Other people speak about evil. Other people, they connected the 5G with coronavirus and Bill Gates. Other people, I'm not saying that is wrong, but these things, the way we interpret psychoanalysis from outside, shows something about us. For example, I had, many years ago, I had in England, a girl who was homosexual. She was a lesbian, and she came once with her in my office with her partner, and she asked me if it's okay for her partner to see the psychoanalytic office on the couch. I said, of course, and when she saw it, what was her response? Is this way where you put them to submit them, to make them submit to you? So that was obviously the strong person in the relationship, and she felt challenging because her girlfriend was going for analysis, and she liked to get into competition, especially with men. So that was part of her fantasy, to interpret me without even knowing me as someone who wants to submit other people. So the way people speak about psychoanalysis tells you something about their own fantasy, but their own ways of approaching the world as well.
Yeah. Great.
And sometimes the things that they say that they're afraid from analysis, I'm afraid I will be attached, I'm afraid I will be submitted, it's actually what they are looking for. Pay attention to what they say and what they are doing in their lives, and you will be surprised. They will tell you, but I don't want anybody to tell me what to do, and pay attention to their lives, and they are full of asking people what to do. So that's a trick for you to pay attention to these people.
And I mean, you kind of already were going towards this, but when would someone understand that they need to go to psychoanalysis?
Yes. Okay. Should I start answering?
Yeah, you can give an example.
I will give you many examples, because I had some friends psychoanalysts from other orientations, and in my opinion they're very wrong. For example, someone said to his sister, you are 45 and you still don't have a steady boyfriend, you don't have a husband, I think you should go to analysis, something is wrong with you. And the same girl asked her friend, well, can you ask your psychoanalysis? Because her friend, her brother, the psychoanalyst, was saying these things to her, and she started feeling weird. And when her friend asked me, I said, is she suffering? She said, no. Is she okay with the life she is living? She says, yes, okay. Well, then it's her brother who has to go to analysis. So, what was the question?
About why would someone go to psychoanalysis?
Well, you can go to analysis for many reasons, but at the end of the day, it's the only true way to go to analysis is to answer questions about you, but you want to change your life, you want to make changes in your life. You are suffering one way or another. It doesn't have to be a big suffering. By suffering, what I mean here, it can be, I want to change a few things in me, I want to go to a higher level, or whatever people, I'm telling you what people gave me, but it's psychoanalysis mark a cut, a change from what was before and what you want to do now. This is what is psychoanalysis. even if someone is doing psychoanalysis for years, it marks just a split second. The moment that they will do their act, everything will shift. And for that second, it might take many times to analyze it, but it's just a second. That you have to elaborate it so much, like to find the nanoparticles until the next step is made. So when you go to analysis when you want to make changes in your life, either because you are suffering or you are wishing something different from yourself. Whatever people, even if there is depression or whatever, these more clinical symptoms they call them, people they go to analysis because of these two reasons. They want to change, they want to stop their suffering.
Some people want to stop suffering, but they don't want to make those changes. And it's like from your own practice, when people are suffering and they want to make the changes, they're basically taking the steps, all kinds of different ways how to find answers. And then there's people that they come because, as you were mentioning before, someone is sending. So you could find the difference between when the person comes by himself to analysis from his own desire to go to analysis, and when someone tells them to go. You can identify that people.
Sometimes people they need to hear from someone, not from an analyst, because usually when analysts say you should do analysis, it's because it's this group of psychoanalysts or psychotherapists or psychologists that they have this grandiose, I would call it grandiose, in quotes of course, feeling that they believe in normality, and actually the only madness is our belief in normality. And they believe that they are okay, and they see someone who is lacking, who is not there, who is crazy, why they do that? Because there is this binary of this faith. I am better, he's not. That means that all people who do psychotherapy or psychoanalysis are higher people. And this leads to the stupidity that they say that, oh, if all the world was under analysis or psychotherapy, things would be different. No, they wouldn't. They would be the same. If things would be okay, it would be a terrifying scenario, because everybody will be one thing. It's as if we are cloning people. So nothing will change in the world, because desires are different. And sometimes people, they don't agree with your desire. Maybe you want to live your life, living in the mountains, and the rest of the society disagree with you. But you are comfortable with that. So also to the comment that you made, that people they say that they want to change but they deny doing something about it. This is a very typical enjoyment of the complaint. These people, they need witnesses to complain. When you see separation of I want to change but I'm not doing the necessary steps, for sure you know that these people, they want witnesses to complain. And to blame life, they will blame somebody else, but they cannot accept that they have to work on it, because if they start working on it, it means that they have to accept the blame. So that's very typical. I say to many of my seminars that if your words are disconnected from your action, then you've got enjoyment of the complaint, and you've got a lot of these people, and they become very heavy to their surroundings.
Yeah, but sometimes people, I think they as well miss something. So I'm gonna shift into the questions of do most of our problems come from our parents, and they come from our childhood?
Well, this is a popular belief, but it's wrong. It's a popular belief of certain schools of psychoanalysis and psychotherapy and psychology, because they consider childhood as something that, or life as something that has past, present, and future. We are marked by certain things because this is life, and some things they marked us in a certain way that makes our life difficult. But these things, maybe they were initiated from the childhood, but they don't belong to childhood, because even if you are a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist that following the more American system, that they don't really take into consideration psychoanalysis, they've got the post-traumatic stress disorder, what they used to call the bombshell disorder in the World War, because of the bombs. And actually I like this name better, because you've got a big noise there, and it hits your body. So the post-traumatic stress disorder, even though they deny that childhood can have a super powerful impact, they say, okay, forget your childhood, let's concentrate on the now. But on the other hand, they believe in this sort of disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, that something might have marked you 20 years ago, you're still suffering from it. What I want to say is that whatever has marked us and we are suffering, it's outside of time. We become that trauma. It's outside of time, it's repeated in one way or another. So has nothing to do with the past. It's constantly present, it's timeless. So childhood, yes, it's really, really important because it's from where we receive structures, and I'm not talking about the environment. The psychoanalysis we practice and teach, it's something that is included in the environment, but it's not the environment. They are traits that they hit your body and they mark you, and they are conscious. Sometimes they are meaningless. So yes, they are formed in the childhood, but it's not your childhood, and then it's not your childhood as such. And then they continue for the rest of your life. It doesn't mean that they are bad. Whom do we take to analysis? Those people that some of these markings on our existence are problematic. And not all of them. We treat only what is problematic for the subject. We don't, it's not everything wrong. Whatever is problematic, because they want to return to life.